This happened a year ago. I had an awful breakup with my ex when I was 24. I had been with him for 7 years, but my parents knew him since he was 12. My parents are divorced, but they both really loved my ex and treated him like a son. When we broke up, I told my parents that they were to cut off contact with my ex, that I don't want him involved in any aspect of my life, and I assumed that my parents stuck to their word because I'm their only daughter. I expected them to put my feelings first above my ex's. I made it very clear the breakup hurt me deeply. Last year, my ex got married 2 months before I did. I found out that my father had attended his wedding. I was furious. When I confronted him, my father said that it's hard to cut off someone he saw grow up and considered family, and that he thought it'd be easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. I drove home and sent my father a message disinviting him from my wedding. My father begged for forgiveness several times and even cried, but I just couldn't forgive my father. The breakup with my ex was one of the worst things I'd ever gone through, and he knew it. I had my wedding and my stepfather walked me down the aisle instead. My relationship with my father is extremely icy now. My father still apologizes a lot, and I know that not coming to my wedding hurts him deeply, but I feel like he made his choice doing what he did. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Ex was cheating. Agreed. I couldn't even imagine how it would feel to get cheated on, and then your own dad still having a relationship with the person who cheated on you. She was betrayed twice. If someone cheated on my kid, I would never speak to them again. What's sad is the dad doesn't get he was betrayed by the ex too. If the ex really loved the dad like family, like the dad is saying he feels for the ex, why would he ever treat the father's daughter like that? Obviously, he hurt OP worse, but the dad is an idiot to not see that someone who loved him like a father wouldn't do that to someone the dad loved, his daughter. Me, female 33, and my husband, male 37, moved into our new home in a rural neighborhood 7 months ago. We love it here. Neighborhood is quiet, neighbors are lovely and friendly, and we get along with almost everyone, especially our next-door neighbor, who's a single mother of 2, boy 13 and girl 17. We see her daughter Chelsea out in the neighborhood often. She works as a babysitter for other neighbors and helps kids with activities in the neighborhood and also does free cleaning service for the entire neighborhood. Her mom sometimes sends her to us to borrow stuff. Seeing how Chelsea and her mother are struggling to make ends meet, my husband and I do all we can to help. Everything was going fine until 2 days ago when I bumped into Chelsea's mother at the local grocery store, and she greeted me. While we were having a small chat outside, she said she wanted to thank me and my husband for the gift we bought Chelsea for her birthday, and went on about how unnecessary it was, and that we should have never bothered. I was puzzled. Yes, I knew Chelsea's birthday was days ago, and neither me nor my husband attended, but I knew nothing about sending her a gift which was a $300 plus St. Laurent bracelet. I was stunned when she told me that. I of course tried to act normal, but was boiling inside. We said goodbye, and I went home and checked if there were any purchases made with our joint account, but found nothing. I got confused at this point and waited for my husband to get home to explain to me about the gift that I didn't know about. He got home and I brought this up to him. He confirmed purchasing the bracelet and sending it to Chelsea as a gift for her birthday. I asked why he didn't tell me. He said since he used his fun money to pay for it and not our joint account, then he figured there was no need to tell me about it. I asked if he ever thought $300 was a lot to give a 17-year-old, let alone a neighbor. He said that I know how much our neighbor and her kids are struggling, and that Chelsea probably doesn't have much nice stuff, so he figured a designer bracelet will make her brag in front of her friends for once. He emphasized feeling sorry for Chelsea and her mom, and decided to do this nice gesture since she does a good job of keeping the neighborhood clean and helping other neighbors. I told him about how this made me feel upset, and caught off guard when Chelsea's mom brought up the bracelet. I told him that it wasn't cool that I found out about it via her, and asked if he ever planned on telling me, and he got annoyed, saying, "Why do you think I should tell you about everything I spend my own money on?" and went about how controlling I was becoming lately, and that he would have told me if he made the purchase via our joint account, but because this wasn't the case, then I shouldn't be mad. It's not just the money, it's the fact that he paid for a $300+ bracelet for our neighbor's daughter, which is a lot in my opinion. Besides, I've never received a bracelet from him that was as expensive as the one he got Chelsea. I brought it up again later in bed, and he got angry, then apologized, saying he was sorry. He didn't know I was this controlling, constantly trying to guilt him for spending his money on a nice gift for the struggling poor girl. Then went out of the bedroom, basically telling me to grow up because I was acting jealous. I honestly don't know if I should just stop discussing this with him, seeing how angry it makes him. Thing is, he's never acted like this before, and he's usually open and honest with me, especially when it comes to money and purchases. I feel like something is up with him, but can't really tell. I can't help but feel confused and upset. This is completely inappropriate. A grown-up married man giving designer bracelets for teenagers sounds absurd. It's because it is. And trying to make you feel guilty about the questions? Unacceptable. You need to talk with him again. I'm hard-pressed to find any possible logical excuse for him to have kept this from you. I don't want to jump into the worst of conclusions here, but at the very least, keep your eyes open. Something is off. Them struggling is even less of a reason to spend $300 on a bracelet for her, when they can probably use something much more pragmatic. He's also gaslighting you now. This just is not appropriate. What's worse is that you know it, but you're trying hard to believe it's not. So, in my freshman year of college, I met my friend C, and we hit it off immediately, to the point where we're still close friends to this day. Around the time I started dating J, who I married 2 years later. Ever since the beginning, C has always had a big crush on J. It's become a bit of a running joke between the three of us. This whole thing has bothered me a little bit since the beginning, but I'm able to rationalize it. It's just a joke. So C has wanted kids ever since I've known her. She's always said that she's going to spend her early years making as much money as she can, so that she can effectively spend the rest of her time as a mother. In sophomore year, she got a job as a traveling salesperson and made her fortune. Now she's back, and she's decided to have her first child. I always assumed that she wanted to get married, or at least have a long-term partner before doing something like this. But it turns out I was incorrect. She has asked Jay to be a sperm donor in her IVF treatment. I feel very conflicted about this. On the one hand, I know that this is something that C has wanted for the longest time, and I don't want to shoot her down. On the other hand, the fact that she's had a crush on Jay for years frames this in a different perspective. She wants him and no one else. Suddenly, the joke stops being funny. Jay once drunkenly admitted to me that he'd sleep with her almost immediately if I ever gave him a hall pass. I know it was just him joking around while drunk, but I've always believed that a drunk person's words are a sober person's thoughts. I know that he'd just be jerking off into a cup and that's it, but it still feels weird to me. They're having a baby together if I say yes. Jay has said that he won't do it without my approval first. I don't know what to tell him. Am I being paranoid, or is there more to this? There is no way that this friendship can continue. Your husband wants to have S with her, and she wants to have his baby. It's only going to take one night of them being drunk and you not being around for them to make a mistake. Update. So a lot has happened. First off, to address a few things. C and J are not having an affair. She's been traveling all over the world for a long time, so it would have been very difficult for them to physically meet up. Secondly, Jay was just as freaked out about this as I was. He was the one who suggested I post on here to check we're not crazy. Some of you suggested that I divorce him. I'm not going to do that. Some of you seriously jumped to conclusions about him, considering the only information you had to work with was an initial and one comment that he made 9 years ago while heavily intoxicated. Lastly, I think I may have over-exaggerated the whole joke thing. It's a minor thing that only comes up every once in a while. Admittedly, I probably should have worded this whole thing better. Additionally, I do overall agree with the comments. I think that I was being paranoid. It's probably a good thing that most people seem to agree. So, the update. About 2 hours after I posted it, C called me. She had read the post and immediately recognized it as us. She was in tears. She said that when she read it and the comments, it put everything in a new light for her, and she'd had a revelation about just how messed up this whole situation was. She apologized and offered to leave forever. I told her that I was grateful for the apology, but that I didn't want to lose our friendship either. We had a big talk, and the three of us have agreed to go into therapy together to try and sort through these feelings. I don't know how this is going to go, and I know that this may lead to divorce and/or losing a close friend, but I think it's the best possible chance. Why are the three of you going to therapy? You are already too enmeshed. It seems that C's life plan was to make money and then have a baby by your husband. You both need to separate from C while she goes to therapy. As others have pointed out, why are the three of you going to therapy to sort through these feelings? What is there to sort for you and your husband? It's C that needs therapy. I would make the friendship contingent on it as well. Tell her you support her as she works through her complicated feelings about babies and your husband, and that you can't be as close with her for now. Another indicator of C's need for therapy, her manipulative, "I'll just leave forever," when she was called out. No one asked you to do that, C, you drama queen. Just learn some boundaries with your friends, and you can stay friends with them. My husband and I had a very fast courtship and engagement. We met and married within 11 months and have been married for 4 years in March. My husband has a job that requires him to travel a lot. Without giving too much information, he is a VP of sales for a company that produces something that's in every house and building in America, so he's constantly working and on the road about 50% of the time. I entered our marriage knowing this and have never had an issue. I learned about 7 months after our wedding that he had actually been engaged to someone else. Let's call her Amanda, at the time we met. He claimed he was worried about hurting her as they had been together since high school. However, what hurt me the most is that he did not call off their engagement until he proposed to me. We've worked through that issue thanks to therapy, and we continue to still go to therapy. Early last week, I discovered I was pregnant with our 3rd child. He was out of town, so I thought it would be fun to surprise him at the news at his hotel. So I planned on getting a cake with "You're going to be a dad again" delivered to his hotel. I called the hotel asking how I could go about this and was told they didn't have him staying at that hotel. I assumed I had messed up where he was staying, but I know his company would only put him in that hotel group. I have, admittedly, overlooked some red flags and realized something was going on. I know he's dumb enough to keep all his passwords the same, and I know our passwords for Netflix, etc., and logged into his Facebook and Instagram to snoop. While snooping, I found DMs with Amanda that were flirty, and she had been tagging him in stories. I called him up and asked him if there was anything he wanted to tell me. He said absolutely not. And I said, "Are you sure? Because I know you're not staying at X hotel, because I was trying to surprise you with something." After now being together, I can pick up on some of his lying tells, and when he tried to tell me he was somewhere else, I called him out on his tell, and he said he would come home that night and we could talk. I assumed he was coming home to tell me that he and Amanda were seeing each other, but instead, he told me that he had been having an affair with a woman we will call Sarah, and Sarah and him have 2 kids together. He was with her, and has not been going on as many work trips since virus started. The kicker is, he started seeing Sarah while still engaged to Amanda, and his kids with her are 6 and 1 who will be 4 a week before our 4-year anniversary. He and Sarah both claim that they haven't had sexual relations since their youngest was conceived. He was seeing both Sarah, Amanda, and I at once in the beginning of our relationship. I asked him about his DMs with Amanda, and he said that they had reconnected at his 15-year school reunion, which I did not go to because I had just given birth 2 nights before, last year, and had been hanging out with old high school friends. I am absolutely devastated and confused. I gave birth to our first son January of 2020, our second son June of 2021, and like I said, I am currently pregnant with our 3rd. The betrayal goes farther with the fact that his mother has been helping him hide this secret from everyone. She has been the best grandmother to my boys and is very active in their life and helps me with cleaning our home and giving me time to do things away from the kids. She knew every time he was going to see Sarah and their kids and never once told me. I'm coming to the realization that everything in my world revolves around him. I can't even begin to talk to my friends about this because all of my friends are his friends' wives. I feel like I am this big joke to his friends and family, and I'm not sure how to change that. I don't have a job because I quit it to be able to travel with him when we got engaged. I feel like I'm stuck and don't know how to get out. Has anyone left a marriage not knowing where to go or how to survive? Edit to add. I do get that marrying someone in 11 months is fast, but I know many people who have dated far less and been married for 30+ years. It's not like I can go back and fix it now. I'll answer a few questions I saw because I have no real update. 1. I am married to him. I handled all of our wedding paperwork. 2. His high school reunion was at a restaurant downtown. We live in his hometown. He wanted to go, and I am incredibly introverted. I like being alone, and I did not mind being alone with our newborn as our oldest was with his grandmother. I also want to make it clear, I didn't know about Amanda when we got married. I knew he had an ex-girlfriend from high school, but he told me he ended it. He lied to everyone about ending it with her. I found out about it 7 months into our marriage. At that time, I knew Amanda had some issues, and he spun it as, "I knew it was you, but I couldn't hurt her." File for divorce and child support ASAP. I don't know if he is already paying other child support. First to file gets more money. Start looking for places, resources, etc. ASAP. Alimony won't last forever with a 4-year marriage. The man is a serial cheater and thinks it's just fine having multiple families and women in his life. If you aren't okay with that, you need out.